Hello, it is Diane with Diane's Blue Hearts and Butterflies.com, and I am going to show you how to make these cards that were cased and inspired from Sherry Roth, who is a demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and it's using some products that are going to be leaving the retiring at the end of the January to June 2022 mini catalog, and so I wanted to be able to share that with my local group as well as anyone else that might be interested in doing these cards. The products that were used that are retiring is the On the Horizon and Horizon Dies bundle. It's currently in the January to June 2022 mini catalog. The dies, some of them cut out parts and pieces of this, but a lot of it is just some scenery and background type things. Also, the New Horizons Designer Series paper will be retiring at the end of that same catalog. And this has, I've seen so many beautiful cards done with it. We're also going to be using it in another card that I'm going to share with you. And then this other product is actually in the new catalog, the 2022-23 annual catalog. It's tailor-made tags, and we're going to be using the largest tag out of this one for that, and also out of the Horizon dies, the larger piece of fence. I'm going to be using that as well. So let me get my stuff over here so I can share with you what you'll need in order to be able to make this kit. I had my local stamp class yesterday, and this is what we were working on. So you will need a thick white cardstock base. This is 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. And you'll just fold that in half and burnish that center point. And then there's a piece of cardstock. This is the Misty Moonlight cardstock, and it is 4 1/4 by 2 1/4. And then this is the one that you will actually take and cut the largest die from. And so that's I've already done that for sake of the video. There's also a piece of this Designer Series paper, and you can use it whichever direction you want. I'll probably do this one. This is cut at 3 5/8 by 1 3/4, and that is going to fit onto that tag. And then there is a 2" by 2 3/4" basic white cardstock that I cut out, and then you'll use that piece to cut the longer piece of the fence out of. And then I tied a bow. This is the Petal Pink cotton ribbon, and so I went ahead and tied the bows for that. Another item that we're going to be using in putting this together are these Pebbles enamel shapes, and we're just going to use them kind of as a little bit of accent on the card. So let me set these off to the side, and I'll bring out some pieces that I've already done so I can share those. So the parts that I'm going to start with first is here it is, the stamping. So this stamp set comes with some very great sentiments in here, and thinking of you, thanks for everything, breathe, wishing you so much happiness, and then there's the relax, enjoy your day. And I'm going to use the Thinking of You. And what we did was, using the Petal Pink ink, we just kind of created a background. This is more of a simple card. It doesn't use a lot of embellishments, but you kind of imagine where you're going to put the tag in this lower right corner area to kind of figure out where you're going to want to stamp behind that. And this is where you want to be very careful with your stamping. You don't want to smush the stamp into the ink pad, because it'll get the ink all around the edges, and then you end up with little mishaps on your stamping on your paper. And so it's basically just kind of tap the surface of the ink pad, and you're just wanting to get it on those raised words. And then I kind of just started a little off the page and then put another one, and I just kind of randomly stamped these in lines. I didn't want it to be kind of perfectly on, so that's why I didn't use the Stamparatus. I wanted them to be kind of offset a little bit from each other. And it doesn't have to be exact, because a lot of people aren't going to see what's behind the tag anyway. And so I'm going to come back this way. And you have to be careful that you don't rock your stamp. You just go straight up and down. This is kind of where I got my, when I'm holding my stamp, I'm trying to hold it flat, and then I use my pinkies to kind of be the anchors. So I just push up and down with my fingers, the rest of my fingers. I think I'll do one more. I'm not trying not to get my head in here, so I think that will, no, I think I need one more row. Yep, and that kind of does that. So then to keep my Stampin' Chamois a lot cleaner longer, I kind of do wipe the ink off by stamping it onto the grid paper a few times. And then I just take this chamois and make sure the stamp is clean. Now, another thing we're going to do while this is out here is create a little more shadowing behind the tag, and we're going to issue the Stampin' Blender blending brushes. Good night. I am having a hard time. And just kind of get most of that off so that you don't leave a blob on the cardstock. And you're just going to add a little bit of kind of a colored hue behind there. And it just kind of gives a little bit of hint of some color behind there. Okay. And you do it as much as you want, or if you want more, or if you want less. And then we will set this offside. This piece fits inside of this stitched area on the tag, but in order to get these rounded or cut off at the right place, you're going to take and line up the Designer Series paper with the bottom and the end of this, and then you're just going to snip along that edge. Then you're going to turn it over and go with the top and the end, make sure that it's touching, and then you'll snip this other piece off, and then when you pull it back, it will fit just like that. So the other thing we're going to do is this image of like the grassy stuff along the beach. I'm gonna stamp that in smoky slate on to this Designer Series paper. And most of the stuff at this point is just stamps, ink, and paper. And you just get kind of a hint of the grass there. And then clean this stamp off real quick. The stamp chamois comes in a single sheet. I have kind of small hands and I like to be able to grab it, especially if I'm working on the Stamparatus, and be able to clean my stamps real well. So all I did was take and cut it in half, and I put both of those halves inside of one of these clear containers so that it can kind of stay moist for longer. And then we'll take the rest of the items here and we'll just start assembling this. Oh, I put that, I've already put the thing away, but I did take on the envelope and I stamped that grass and the smoky slate again onto the envelope, which you can also do. So I'm going to take this, since I haven't folded this one yet, and I will burnish that. Then I'm going to take and adhere the Designer Series paper to the tag, and I'm using the Stampin' Seal Plus. I like the Plus better than the Stampin' Seal because I generally have less issues, and now that I say that, I'm going to run into some issues. Sometimes it tends to roll back in on itself if there's some adhesive that stuck to something. Now this is going to cover up the hole that is on the tag, but we're not really tying the bow through that hole anyway. So what I did was I used a glue dot on the back of the knot for the bow that I tied. And then I just adhered that off to the left side of the tag. And then Sherry Roth had shared that she wanted to get more of a 3D effect with this fence piece. So you just kind of curl it a little bit and get some wiggle out of that. And then I took the white glue and just put it on the two outside pickets. And you have to kind of hold this a little bit to get it to stay so it can dry a little. And I just pushed it down on one side, and then this other side I just kind of tried to keep that little bit of a bend in there in the fence and just hold it a little bit till it dries. And then I took these shapes and use them over here. Look like little rocks. And I just kind of did that. And then on the back of this, I added dimensionals to allow it to pop up a little bit here on the front. And if you're going to be mailing this, you definitely want to have something kind of in the middle, because as it runs through the rollers in the letter machines, it'll get kind of pushed down and scrunched, and you want it to be able to keep some of its shape. And then this one you just kind of put where you'd like it over here, and that's it. And so it's a very quick card that can be made. It gives a little bit of dimension, and so I hope that you enjoyed that. And please check out my blog and get the measurements will be over there, and also another link to the other video that I will upload to share the other card that I made for my local class will also be available through the blog. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and would like to choose me to shop with, I would appreciate that. There is a link up on the top of the blog with a shopping that'll take you over to Stampin' Up! So that you can shop with me. And I hope that you enjoy these projects, and don't forget that a lot of these items are going to be retiring at the end of June. So if you want to get them before they're gone, you'll need to get those ordered soon. Again, my blog name is Diane'sBlueHeartsAndButterflies.com. Thank you for watching.